Lately, there's been a lot of content creators in the Rocket League space, myself included, that have been quite critical of just Rocket League and Psyonix in general, primarily due to the content side of things. A lot of us have been having this conversation of, is it better for Psyonix to kind of hold off in hopes that Unreal Engine 5 just fix everything, or should they still continue to release certain things here and there? And the difficulty with that comes with the concept of them transitioning to Unreal Engine 5, as well as still being on Unreal Engine 3. Because if they do make it on Unreal Engine 3, it means they basically have to remake it in Unreal Engine 5. It's a very complicated thing. If you haven't seen my video on the Unreal Engine 5 update, I did an interview with Lethmir. Recommend going and checking that video out, which should be linked somewhere up here. The difficulty with everything, though, is that they are putting a lot of effort in, just maybe not in the ways that the casual player recognizes. And I wanted to shed some light on that. I wanted to give a little bit of credit where it's due and provide some examples. Most recently at the RLCS Winter Major Split, there was a ton of announcements, but it wasn't just, hey, here's this thing. There was a lot of really creative ways about going and doing so, and credit where it is due is something that is not easily accomplished despite being in the middle of a pandemic. Now that things are starting to kind of become a little bit more of a leeway, there is like a list of things that I would love to pay attention to. So in today's video, I'm actually going to tell you guys these one by one. I'm going to showcase very minor clips of them. Links to every single one of them will be in the description down below, because I think all of these are super important for the growth of Rocket League, but maybe not in the direct way of new game mode in game, but other ways, which they are doing. I think people forget that despite the lackluster project that the Rocket Pass 6 was, I think a lot of people were upset about this one because it didn't really live up to the quality. I even know some developers or some community figures, or I should say people internally, that also agree upon that. I'm not going to put any of them directly in this video because I don't want them getting in trouble, but I think people understand that the most recent Rocket Pass was not up to snuff. It wasn't up to the quality that is expected of Psyonix, and I think they're aware of that. Despite that, they did put in a new game mode, and we still don't know what that is going to play like, how fun it is going to be, but we did see on April Fool's one of the greatest game modes they've ever made. It just brought back some love that I have for Top Gear, but they basically took the wheels and only made it one in the front and made it almost impossible to turn, which made for some very funny moments. The April Fool's game mode is absolutely fantastic and something that I think many of us are hoping to see more and more of. So that is kind of the one that I'll start off at the beginning. You're probably seeing footage of it, but yeah, the new game mode where there's only one wheel in front is something that, although it may seem simple, is a lot that goes into it. Also, shout outs to Zeke on the trailer that he put out for it, because it's absolutely hilarious, where they've got like placeholders and stuff, because it shows that it's like an unfinished update. So like they're willing to jab themselves a little bit to showcase that. So that's the first one that came as a surprise post-major. But as for the major itself, there is a list of things and content that I think keep us all entertained. Because there's only so much you can do in-game, and the effects of out of the game are very important. The first one is some of the skits that they've been making with the video team, and the first one that comes to mind is the Rizzo Retirement video, which I talked about a little bit of this with behind the scenes and how it came to be. And this was actually the third idea that they presented to Rizzo and Athena about something that they could do that would be a fun video skit. It seems like Rizzo was the unofficial MC for Psyonix at this previous event, which I think is great. I think they should lean into their content creators and former pros as ways to shoot and develop more content. I think it's just an easy way to grow and develop what RLCS as well as Rocket League could be, and should also lean into their thoughts, ideas, and opinions when it comes to in-game content and testing things and what could be done, which it seems like they're doing better and better with. The Rizzo Retirement video was, like I said, the third idea of 3. And one of the Monty brothers that shoot the video content in Nick actually ended up doing this last second. It was a very spur of the moment in the morning. He sat down, wrote down the whole script, and then capitalized beautifully by Rizzo and Athena about how left always goes and everything else. Here's a minor preview of what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it.
Left goes.
What? Well, at first it was normal. You know, I thought he was just trying to get used to being in retirement.
No, I wouldn't say I really miss Rocket League at all. I mean, ever since retirement, everything's been really chill. Super laid back, just relaxing.
It's like he just can't let things go.
I'm up.
I'm done. I'm done. Absolutely done.
I'm up.
Up next was the announcement videos. For those that do not know, there's obviously been this evolution of trying to figure out where the heck land locations are going to be as soon as possible, because that way people can plan and prepare for them. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Not only is finding the location, renting the space and the cost involved, but also making sure that production can get there. It's easily accessible for people traveling, just a bunch of different moving parts that we aren't always aware of. It takes an entire village to make those things happen. And if anybody can confirm down in the comments for me how awesome the winter major was, it is very difficult to do and accomplish that between all the broadcast talent, all the players, all the moving parts. You're running a tournament, production, and just, it is absolutely insane to organize all that stuff. And the fact that they've got to do it in just a couple more months and do it all over again in London and then do it again after that back in Dallas, it's a lot going on. But the way they announced it was actually really cool. They made specific videos rather than just being like we've done in the past. In the past, when I was part of the RLCS, during the RLCS broadcast, we would just have a graphic that was thrown up and Leaf would talk about it, and then we'd say buy your tickets. But now you've got a whole video dedicated to a moment. You know, Justin going through PTSD, Garrett and Fireburner bumping into each other, a little cheeky Easter egg for those that are ingrained in the community that people might have missed. Those little things are really important. And then also talking about the gravitas of what World Championship means, showcasing the fact that it is truly our first international World Championship, in my opinion. I think this is the first time that we can truly say it is a world's event. It's not just two regions with a couple others showing up. It is places from all over the world. There is multiple qualification processes. There's a bunch of different things that lead to making it to that moment, and you're allowing these players to showcase their true origins, where they're from, put a face to the name, and really add specificness to it. Again, links to those, I've done dedicated videos on those, but if you want to know what those are, make sure you check those down in the links below. Up next is some of the funner content that I personally enjoy, things that I've been asking for a very long time from the Psyonix team, which may not always be allowed or may not have been possible in the past, and it is the showcasing and usage of the broadcast talent. I think the broadcast talent in Rocket League is very talented and has a lot of really exciting ways to go about stuff, but you're seeing, again, unique skits and ways to utilize and showcase. One of those is the CRL tournament announcement that I think a lot of people glanced over because of the World Championship announcement, but using Wavepunk and the cowboy hat with Dazarin and showcasing that CRL is going to be happening. But then also the specific moments. One in particular is, obviously we know Tbates likes to get up and get loud, and even though it's Wavepunk that says it's game day, there is a way to showcase and use some skits that are used in other programs and bring them over to Rocket League. And the one I'm talking about, there's actually two in particular, one for Daniel and one for JNaps. Both of those linked down below are Tbates Translates. And the general premises is you have pros that are a little bit more timid or quiet, and Tbates, being the loud one that he is, says what they're actually thinking. Here's a quick snippet.
I think G2 is the best team because of our team environment. We're a very structured team.
I think G2 is the best team because we picked up Atomic from the machine, aka MVP's ball. Now we're fresh off a victory against BDS, arguably the best team in the world. Best team in the world, no more. Can you know why? G2's here to stay, baby. Myself included, and with also Chicago, one of the best duos ever to play this game. We had Atomic. You already know what's gonna happen. Pure domination. 3-0, one Group C. We're coming for this winter major victory.
No.
Yes.
The next one is probably one of my favorites, which is caster confessions. A lot of times people like that insight and behind the scenes of what actually the casters and the broadcast talent really feel. At the end of the day, people need to understand that none of the casters hate each other. There is no ill will or bad blood between everybody. It is truly just, we're doing it for entertainment. We are there to provide conflict. My own caster confession, I honestly don't mind that super ask food questions all the time. I think it's a good way to get to know people and learn a little bit about them. But I also understand for entertainment purposes, I have to showcase that I hate it. I dislike it. It is what it is. So seeing the caster confessions about like Wavefunk being like, I actually don't get up or even get loud sometimes on game day. And like little things like that that are really funny that they sprinkle into the pre-show, I think really ties together the look and feel of trying to become that traditional sport. I think these are really important for the growth of showcasing the personality and allowing these people to be actual people. Because it does allow them to shine, and as those personalities grow, so do the fandom for both the players and the esport. It is something that I think we've been missing for a very long time in Rocket League Esports, and the fact that it is just kind of the tip of the iceberg is really, really exciting. So the caster confessions, there was 3 of them in the pre-show over the course of different days. I have links to the timestamp of all of them in the description down below. Last but certainly not least, and probably one of my favorite content pieces that has ever been made, period, for Rocket League Esports, is the evolution of the crowd. There was a lot of conversation about how the heart and soul is back of RLCS. And for those that have never been to the RLCS in a live environment, it's tough to put it into words, but there is something about going to a live event that motivates and reinvigorates not only the broadcast talent, the content creators, but also the players. The ability to play in front of a crowd and 6,000 people, cheering for a rookie by saying LAWL is something that as a player you hold on to. It makes you really feel and grieve for the NRG squad that after being the previous world champs and the first time they get fans back, they actually don't get to play in front of those fans. They don't get to experience that feeling that, for many people, myself included, it reinvigorates and remotivates the love and passion for the game. And this evolution of the crowd video, I think it's like 24 minutes, talks about truly what it was like from the beginning days with funny inserts and talking about like James Bot saying, oh, hey, we made it because we're at a nightclub. And, you're seeing people like Cloudfield break down and set up PCs every night so they can continue to run the club, to now seeing like the renting out of YouTube Theater at SoFi Stadium and an outdoor studio and an indoor studio, and just how far the event has truly come. And I think it really is a great way to encompass and showcase the feeling that comes from going to a live event if you've never been. And it was awesome to be a part of that. My voiceover is used in some of those. I'm actually part of that video at certain times, and it's just cool to see where it's come and how impactful it really is. I teared up watching that video because it does really invigorate that feeling and invoke that feeling, I should say, of what it is like to go to these events. So I will honestly say what they've done with the Subpart HD guys and Cole and Stumpy and Doomsy, I'm pretty sure, is the one that edits most of those videos, the storyline based videos. Those are things that I wish I could make myself and hope to in the future someday. But those videos I think are very, very special. And the fact that Psyonix is leaning into them because they also recognize the importance of this community is what is ultimately going to lead to this esport being something that you cannot ignore, which is important. It affects everybody else involved, from content creation to otherwise. So if you guys haven't seen any of these videos, as a reiteration, all of them down below, but I really wanted to provide some insight as well as just showcase my respect for the fact that they're happening. These efforts, as I stated in the title, are not going unnoticed. These are really important things. It is one thing to run a very successful esport after being away from it for 2.5 years. It is another thing to run an esport as well as provide all these little extra things in addition to it, because these are some of the things that kind of get overlooked by a lot of other events in esports. And the fact that Psyonix, despite having such a small staff, continues to pump these things out in addition. Like, I will not be surprised if the major in London doesn't have a lot of these big announcement type things, because they've announced, the fact that there's a new major and the fact of its location as well as the World Championship. But these small little feature videos, these little things are the things I'm excited, because it's what makes the live events special for both the people attending as well back home. So with that said, just wanted to candidly speak that I appreciate it, I notice it, and I absolutely love it, and I look forward to more. And Psyonix, if you ever want me to be in some of these, I've got some ideas of brewing, so hit me up. But with that said, everybody, if there is certain types of content pieces that you would also like to see, maybe there's a skit from another thing that you would love to leave in the comments down below, maybe we'll try to recreate some of those of our own. But with that said, links to everything that we talked about in the description. Make sure you guys go check those out. And more importantly, share that love. Tweet at Psyonix and be like, I loved this video, this and that. It's a lot of work that goes into it. And it also showcases kind of where they should lead into. Also, Rizzo doing a watch party and getting to interview all these players immediately after the matches. Something I've been desperately wanting, a very candid sit down and talk with the players. You're hearing Team Queso, like, look up to Rizzo, and like those types of things are so valuable that I was glued to my computer the entire time. So appreciate you all coming and watching the video. If you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.